Kay Adams, Nate Burleson, Peter Schrager, Kyle Brandt, all here. I'm very excited for these games, you guys.
Almost there.
Weekend.
Let's roll.
Yeah,
Super.
Are we making picks at some point?
It's a yearly tradition.
Yeah.
On Friday, we will make our wild card picks.
How did we do that? We make a pick for every game.
Yeah, of course.
24 picks, 6 games.
I don't know if I'll show up for that one. Okay, let's start with our very own NFL Network insider, Ian Rappaport, joining us this morning. Hey, Ian. The Browns headed to the playoffs for the first time since 2002, and they got some tough news dealt their way yesterday. What is the latest with everything Cleveland?
Yeah, there's been so much good news, so much buzz about the Browns' first playoff berth in almost 2 decades, and the reality unfortunately hit yesterday afternoon when the Browns and the NFL announced that several members of the organization, several key members of the organization, including Coach Kevin Stefanski, had been declared out for this game against the Pittsburgh Steelers due to COVID-19. They tested positive. Stefanski did. He is out for this game, and of course, he is not alone. Players, so Stefanski, 2 assistant coaches, players, Joel Bitonio, longtime member of the Browns, multi-year Pro Bowl and one of their more respected members, Kadero Hodge, both those guys out for the game. So here's where it stands for the Cleveland Browns. Their facility was closed yesterday, likely closed today, although we have not received official word on that. Mike Prefer, special teams coach, is going to be the acting head coach here, so he steps into Kevin Stefanski's shoes. Then Alex Van Pelt, the offensive coordinator, he is going to call plays for Stefanski. Not what anyone wanted for the Browns for the first playoff game in forever, but this is what's going on.
And Van Pelt might seem familiar to some NFL fans out there. He was very popular in the news headlines a couple of years ago when the Packers decided, of course, to part ways with him. Aaron Rodgers very upset about that. He really liked his quarterback coach at the time, Alex Van Pelt. Thank you so much, Ian Rappaport. Talk to you in a bit, guys. This is the worst news for Cleveland, right? Kevin Stefanski calls the plays. Not a lot of teams that have coaches this weekend playing call the plays. Sean McVay, Sean Payton, and Kevin Stefanski, who got them here. So, Shregs, what'd you make of the news?
Yeah, so this is going to be an interesting year. I just want, the Browns are going into the first playoff game in 17 years without a head coach, and it's because of COVID, and that's the best case scenario right now. So I hate to be so doom and gloom, but this is going to be something as we look towards Sunday. As more tests might come up, we have to be ready for this around the league. We have to look at Alvin Kamara. We've got to look at the Browns. We've got to look at all these different teams and just hope that we can get the playoffs up without another hitch. And we can do this because there is no more flexibility. We can't be moving games to next week. We can't. It's the playoffs. Yeah. We're locked in. Everybody needs to just hope and pray that we can get through this thing. And the Browns, they suffered it with the hot tub incident with the Thursday 2 weeks ago. They dealt with a lot of it last week, and now this. And here's what I've been told with Stefanski. He can coach them all week via Zoom, via remote. He can give them pregame talks, and hopefully on Sunday, he can maybe have some sort of role. But it is going to be Prefer as the head coach, and it's not like this is just some wide-eyed, bushy-tailed guy. This is a long-time special teams coach. Mike Prefer's been in the league forever. He's a naval graduate. And 19 seasons in the NFL, has long been viewed as one of the best special teams coaches with the Giants, of course, and then the Vikings particularly. When Mike Zimmer went down with that eye incident years ago,
he stepped in, right?
Prefer stepped in. One of the best special teams coaches, more than capable to have the respect of the team. He's not going to fall on his face. This isn't some 25-year-old kid. You're like, all right, go deal with what we got to deal with. So that's that. And then, Kay, to your point, Van Pelt, long-time, revered quarterback coach in this league, offensive play caller.
Long play.
A lot of
career as a player, too.
A great Buffalo Bills player. Yeah, in the K-Gun. Filled in for Jim Kelly in the 95 playoffs, I want to say, against the Steelers and played well. 4 seasons as Rodgers' quarterback's coach, and, of course, was with the Bills for all those years in the 90s and the 2000s. My point is this. All hope is not lost. And Stefanski is a huge role. Bitonio, a huge role. But they do have capable people who can step up. And if I'm the league, again, I feel like I'm getting a little loosey-goosey on this one. Maybe change the protocol. Maybe let Stefanski have a role on Sunday. I don't know how you can do it. Maybe let him have communication with
a Skype, an earpiece, a walkie-talkie.
I understand the shield and the integrity, and we're not allowed to do that. We're not saying let the fans call plays. Stefanski didn't do anything wrong here, and I'm asking the league here on the NFL Network, maybe there's a loophole because of this bizarre 2021 playoff year. Let Stefanski have some sort of communication with Prefer and Van Pelt on Sunday. We'll see if the league listens. I know the Browns would sure appreciate that.
Yeah, you also have to keep in mind, if you're Stefanski, how you view the game and how you communicate, it could be looked at as an advantage. Now, those two coaches, they will suffice. If this was a regular season game, preseason game, be good to go. But this is different. This is the playoffs. So situationally, this is where they're going to have to step up. It's not necessarily about their football knowledge, knowing the game, how long they've been on sidelines for various teams. This is about situations in the game. 4th and 3, what are they going to do? This is about a 2-minute drill. What are they going to do? This is when they're knocking on the door of the end zone. They're going to kick a field goal or go for it. These are things that Kevin Stefanski knows when he's sitting on that sideline versus these coaches maybe having to guess what Kevin Stefanski would do. With all that said, if that is the case, if there is that disconnect, then Baker Mayfield is going to have to be an extension of his head coach. This is where all the pressure lies. This isn't about the coaches. This isn't necessarily about the run game or Jarvis Landry as a wide receiver, or even the defense stepping up. This is Baker Mayfield's moment. You have spent an offseason, preseason, regular season, all this time learning the playbook. You're going to have to put that in full swing. As much of the knowledge of the playbook that you know, you're going to have to apply it on the game. And here's the thing. There may be moments in this game where Baker Mayfield hears a call and he's like, you know what? I want to call something else. Is it a bold move? Yes. Could it not work? Possibly. But if it does, though, you're a legend. So Baker Mayfield has been fun this year. After the games, he has joked around. There's nothing funny about your head coach not being at the game. So he has to take this game more serious than he has ever. And this might be the biggest moment, this is the biggest moment of Baker Mayfield's career because of his head coach / offense coordinator will not be on the sideline.
It's really well put. It feels like the stakes are really high. My initial reaction to this is that COVID is a cold-hearted bastard, and I hate him with passion. Particularly as it pertains with the Browns, specifically the case of Joel Bitonio is awful. Joel Bitonio, first of all, on the field is going to have to block Cam Hayward, or he was going to have to. It's a huge role he has in the game, but more importantly, this is the guy who's been through all of the crap. Guy's been there since 2014. This is the Browns guard who will not be playing this weekend. This is the guy who was there for 1-31. All of it. All he wants to do is play in a playoff game, and he can't. Hasn't missed a single snap since 2016. It's really enraging if you're a football fan. However, I want to say something at this table. I refuse to get down about the Cleveland Browns. I am not going to do doom and gloom for all day, let alone all week, because the Browns refuse to do doom and gloom. And I would suggest to any Browns fan, really any Steelers fan too, any football fan, read the piece that Mary Kay Cabot put out this week about Kevin Stefanski and the mission that he has been on, not just this football season, all year. Back in March, Kevin Stefanski vowed to himself and to his team, we are not going to complain about what happens this year. It's going to be crazy. This is going to be a ride. We are going to be the best in the league at emotionally dealing with this stuff. And all of the things that they've been through. They lost their second-round pick. They lost Greedy Williams. They lost Odell Beckham. They lost Olivier Vernon now. They lost Myles Garrett for 2 games in the middle of the season to COVID, and he never blinked. This is the guy who's just not allowed to coach in the playoff game that he just put all his heart and soul into, who was about to clinch their first playoff game in 18 years, and is out in a freezing cold parking garage doing a walkthrough with wide receivers off the street. It's an incredible thing. And the last quote I want to go with, Bill Callahan, who's their O-line coach, who also tested positive for COVID, said, quote, there has never been one time when Stefanski has said, man, this is a really bad hand we've been dealt. This is the worst. We got to deal with this stuff. Nonsense. He's never said this sucks, ever. And that whole steely, cold demeanor that Stefanski has is perfect. What I'm saying is, practically on the field, this is terrible. All the coaches are wiped out. There might be something emotionally where not only is this not terrible, it might actually be a good thing to motivate them to win one for the coach and be like, we're the Browns. Nobody messes with us. Bring it on. It might be a good thing.
I love it. It's his run-first mentality, his creativity, him pushing literally the right button at every single time that we've seen all year that's putting him in that coaching conversation. Really quickly to you, Shrakes, I'm trying to understand the Shield's mentality on why he can't be involved in the game. It wasn't like a discipline issue where he can't be with the team. It's COVID-19. So what's the reasoning behind it? I can't understand.
Because the league bylaws weren't all changed. You can't even have a cell phone on the sidelines.
Got it. So nothing.
Typically. So they haven't ripped up the rules and said, well, because of COVID. So there is no rule saying right now that it's allowed, but do you get flexible? And then again, if you're the Steelers, are you saying
no? We deal with the same thing.
We deal with it, and that's
our games moved.
But remember, you think about all those things in New England. You go to Foxborough, and you're like, well, the radio's down, like all that weird stuff.
Yeah.
They don't like having any outside communication with the coaching.
And if they allow that, and the Browns win, then the Steelers fan base will be outraged.
You got to stick with the plan. It's tough. It's unfair. You got to stick with the plan.
It's just so unfortunate. I almost wish that in August they addressed that kind of situation.
Yeah.
The coach is not going to be able to be there.
Like a hologram, like a
no
whatever it could be to get
First
him
time in
involved
17
there.
years they don't have a head coach.
Yeah, but I'm with Kyle. We're not going to let this get
No, we're not going to do it.
for these Browns.
By the way,
fans.
watch the Browns win this game.
2002
Watch.
was a long time ago. We are excited about the Browns, who might win this game. KB is saying, all right, is your upset pinky itching, buddy?
It's getting a little itch.
Ian Rappaport joining us right now, our NFL Network insider, our E-Insider. Oh, I just came up with a new word. Our E-Insider. Okay, we heard some news last night about the Texans front office. What is the latest?
Yeah, some big news for the Houston Texans as this organization tries to remake itself. Sources say they have hired Nick Caserio, the former Patriots director of player personnel, longtime right-hand man for Bill Belichick and de facto general manager in New England for years. He is going to be the new Houston Texans GM, and obviously this is someone that the Texans brass, Jack Easterby, who of course works closely with Cal McNair, the owner. This is someone who's been in their sights for more than a year. Remember, the Texans tried to interview him the last time they thought about having a GM, and of course the Patriots blocked them following tampering charges. It was a big mess. Everyone went back to their own corners, and now Caserio ends up, after an interview process that included several executives around the league for the